Chapter 58 Pow Wow, BM. Sebastian was first to speak. Barnaby, our Barnaby to be clear, tells me that your Dr. Robert has some news that I for one would have thought would have been shared. Sebastian, I'm not sure I know what you're talking about. Barnaby stopped for a second as the question was asked, then almost immediately continued on his way, his response vague. Au contraire, mon ami, teased Sebastian. I think you know full well what we are talking about. No, I don't know, you will need to focus the discussion somewhat. Barnaby was less cordial than he would have been with Sebastian number 1. But then again, this was not Sebastian number 1. Barnaby number 2 pushed his arm in front of Barnaby, forcing him to a stop. Well, let's focus then. With Barnaby focused, at least for the moment, Sebastian suggested they move to a side room. Once they were gathered in more privacy, Sebastian started to speak. So, Barnaby tells me that your very own Dr. Robert told him, and I quote, by accident I might add, that you have found an alternative solarium. Barnaby number 1 thought out his options. None were particularly good. Normally his opponents were no match for me, but in this instance they were all more than his equal, so he opted for what would have to pass for honesty. Yes, as far as I am to understand, there have been some discoveries made, but what precisely I am not sure at this time. Sebastian grew tired of Barnaby's toying. As far as I am to understand? I think you know all too well, Barnaby, and I suggest you tell us the truth. As tempers flared, almost to breaking point, Deli arrived by portal with Graham and Bouncer. The shock of their arrival was enough to break Sebastian's stride, reducing the explosive nature of the atmosphere by a considerable amount. Graham and Bouncer were still reeling from the discovery of nanotech right on their doorstep when the portal collapsed, and they found themselves in Corunna. Ah, Deli, Graham, Bouncer, good to see you, lied Sebastian. Deli looked around the room, and correctly guessed that tensions were high. Clearly something was coming between the Sepulchre factions. It appeared many pigeons were coming home to roost at this moment. It was almost another nexus point, one he had not seen coming, in any way. He smiled to himself. Even for a fifth-dimensional being, the multiverse can provide a surprise every now and then. Sebastian, is everything okay? Asked Deli. Yes, we're all fine, replied Sebastian. Just a small misunderstanding between ourselves from Earth number 2 and our Earth number 1 friends. Deli was not convinced, but he had as big an issue with Graham and Bouncer learning of the RAF nanotech. They weren't stupid, and it wouldn't be long before they put the pieces together. He needed a diversion, and he thought he had the perfect one. It is my belief these infidels are from Earth number 371. We believe they have now acquired even more nanotech and could very well be much more powerful than Graham and Bouncer. I think we have a small window of opportunity in which we may be able to trap them, but once they learn the capabilities of their new nanotech, I fear we may have lost. The group looked at each other as the thought they may have already lost sunk in. Okay, so what do we need to do?